Hey there and welcome. In a world that's just buzzing with noise and nonstop demands, how do you even begin to find your center? Well, today we're diving into this really powerful framework for getting that inner clarity, and it's all based on the philosophy of Yuri Yamamoto Hamilton. Now, this isn't just about grabbing a quick moment of calm. Nope, it's about building a solid, lasting inner sanctuary. So, let's take a look at the blueprint. Does this look familiar to you? I mean, really familiar? That feeling of being tossed around in a stormy sea, just battered by these waves of information overload from one side and external demands from the other. It's that constant feeling of being completely overwhelmed, of just losing your bearings. This is the reality for so many of us. And yeah, this is exactly where our journey begins today. So, first things first, let's put a name to our challenge, this crazy, overwhelming sea of information. Because you know what they say? Understanding the problem is always the first step to building our lighthouse. And it is so important to get this. You are not alone in feeling this way. This constant barrage, it's a shared modern experience. But here's the thing, just treading water, that's not going to cut it. We need a new strategy, a whole new way to navigate these turbulent waters without getting pulled under. And that right there brings us to the solution. So how do we start to tame all this inner chaos? Well, it all kicks off with a process called thought crystallization. It's really about taking all that fuzzy, intangible stuff in your head and making it solid. So just think about this for a second. Inside your own mind right now, how do you take all that swirling chaos, the ideas, the worries, the dreams, and turn it into something clear, something you can actually hold on to and use? Okay, so this is the before state. The philosophy calls this Kaon, which is basically a cloud of pure chaos. It's that internal fog, the one filled with half-baked ideas, anxieties, and desires that are all fighting with each other. It's totally formless, and because of that, man, it can feel completely paralyzing. So what's the tool for the job? It's something called the Filter of Intellect. Now, this isn't a physical thing, obviously, but a mental process. Think of it as the mechanism we use to bring order to that internal cloud, to sift, sort, and finally structure our own thinking. And here we go. This is the process in action. On the left, you've got that cloud of Kantan. It passes through that golden filter of intellect. And just look at what comes out the other side. It's not chaos anymore, but these clear, solid crystals. These are your thoughts, transformed into real, tangible assets. Things like your personal values, defined goals, or even just a simple, powerful declaration of what you truly want. And these are the building blocks for our pyramid. Now, this whole process of crystallizing your thoughts, it isn't an end in itself, no. It's actually the first step in building a much, much larger structure. This is where we introduce the Pyramid of Strategic Serenity, and it's our complete path to a higher state of being. So this pyramid, it's built in 3 distinct levels. We're going to start with a solid foundation of logic and strategy. From there, we build up to the core of who we are, our self-axis, and then finally, we reach the summit, our own personal soul's sanctuary. All right, let's start at the bottom, the foundation of logic and strategy. This level is where you use reason, knowledge, and strategic thinking to build an absolutely unshakable base, a foundation that is strong enough to withstand any chaotic wave the world decides to throw at you. Moving on up, we get to the core of self-axis, and I want you to notice that central image. It's a bowl that's been repaired with gold. This represents Kintsugi, the Japanese art of mending broken pottery. But you don't hide the cracks. No, you highlight them with gold lacquer. And the philosophy here is just so profound. Our past experiences, even the really painful ones, they aren't something to hide. By mending them with understanding, we actually transform them into our greatest sources of strength, beauty, and value. And at the very top, we finally reach the summit of soul's sanctuary. This is it. This is the ultimate goal. After we've built that logical foundation and we've mended our core, we can achieve a state of true spiritual peace. We create an inner sanctuary that no storm on the outside can ever touch. So the whole point is really summarized right here. This one sentence, it just ties the entire pyramid together. You use logic as your base, you turn your wounds into your greatest strengths, and through that very process, you construct your own private sanctuary. And what sits at the very peak of this pyramid? Polaris, the North Star. And this symbolizes a constant guiding principle. Once you've built your sanctuary, Polaris becomes your true north. that unwavering value system that guides your way forward, no matter what happens. Now, this entire journey, from crystallizing your thoughts all the way to building the pyramid, it isn't just some mental exercise. It has this powerful, beautiful, aesthetic expression. And this is where the soul truly takes flight. These two images right here, they perfectly capture that final stage. On the left, you see the golden phoenix. It symbolizes rebirth and what the philosophy calls soul sublimation, which is really the process of refining our raw experiences into a higher, more purified state of being. Rising renewed from the ashes of our past. And where does it fly? Well, to the image on the right, the open door of our sanctuary. It's a return home, back to our true selves. Now, throughout this whole journey, you've probably noticed a really powerful aesthetic at play, this recurring dance of red and gold. And those colors, they aren't just for decoration. They are the very language of this philosophy, symbolizing the entire arc of our transformation. The vibrant red, that represents the passion, the energy, and the fire of transformation. And the brilliant gold symbolizes illumination, the precious value of our mended soul, and that ultimate spiritual clarity we achieve. It's the aesthetic of a soul returning to its sacred home. So we end with this. This entire framework is a blueprint. The tools are right here. The filter for your thoughts, the pyramid for your growth. Your sanctuary, it isn't something you go out and find, it's something you build. So the only question left is, what are you going to put inside?